New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Welcome to Ministers Talking a weekly program where Rev BRZ and Rev Z and their guests chat about current affairs, world events, spiritual principles, and any old they want to talk about. Based on the New Thought philosophy and ancient wisdoms, Ministers Talking shares a visionary perspective of the evolving spiral called spiritual living. Join us each week as we explore the emerging paradigm of life on planet Earth and beyond.
And good morning, dear ones. Dr. Robert with you here on a Friday morning. This is Ministers Talking Shit. Reverend Elzia is traveling and not able to join us technologically. Our apologies. We thought he might be with us this morning. However, not to be. Oh, well. Although, and you know, that just gives me the perfect opening to remind you all that I do know where he's going to be September 12th through the 14th. A whole bunch of us are going to be in Vegas, baby, enjoying the LinkedIn Spirit event. This is by the Center for Spiritual Living, Las Vegas, and we're going to have a really good time. I promise. Good morning, Linda. Trust it's a glorious day where you are. It's a nice day here in Arvada. Glad you're with us. Grateful that you're a part of what we're doing here. And I'll just say a public thank you. Thank you, Linda. I got your donation yesterday. So, folks, I'll do that shout out right here, right now. Linda has been a long time financial supporter of the New Thought Media Network. She's part of our committed giving program. And every month, like clockwork, I get a note in the mail and a check in the mail from dear Linda for on behalf of the network to keep programs like this and other programs running. And if you're watching and you'd like to become part of that program, part of our committed giving campaign, head on over to the website, ntmedia.org. Click on that donate button. I'm sure I've got a banner for it here somewhere. There it is. Click on that donate button and become part of our financial support that takes the message out into the world. Yeah, thank you. All right, so I'm here on my own today. If anybody has anything they'd like me to talk about, feel free to chat it in the chat box. I will say this. I have, I guess I saw this in 2016, even though you weren't aware of it because we weren't doing this show at that time. But in the early part of that Trump administration, there was a lot of uproar and the fatigue eventually caught up with a lot of people, and we paid less attention. And all right, I'm going to speak for myself. And I paid less attention to the news, and while I was still trying to be active and speak. And I think that his first term was nowhere near as ugly as this term has been. And we're 6 months in, 7 months, 8 months in, almost. And the fatigue is catching up because I just can't continue to watch the news the way I have been. And I want to talk about this. I tried to segment that. I hadn't planned to talk about this. I was hoping Z was going to be here. We were going to talk about things like the FBI raiding John Bolton's home overnight. former security advisor or whatever he was in the first Trump administration. The FBI raided his home overnight looking for, you guessed it, come on, everybody say it with me, classified documents. What makes us think that John Bolton might have been hiding classified documents in his home? Well, I guess we'll find out later today when they start to tell us what really happened. But I wasn't planning to talk about that. So I find myself, I tried to compartmentalize the influence that the news, the vibration of what's going on, and I thought I was strong enough to keep that from influencing me and how I show up. But increasingly, it becomes more and more exhausting. And it becomes much more exhausting to excuse me. Good morning. Got my minister's talking shit mug here. Very limited edition mug, by the way. And I talk so much in other aspects, in other programs, in other ways. I would talk so much about creating, and well, I guess we normally talk about this in half an hour at the end of our spiel on Friday mornings. I talk so much about creating the environment and creating the environment around you that is supportive of living a peaceful, happy, spiritual life. This doesn't, I mean, I guess we don't even have to throw the label spiritual on there, right? Because your spirituality is what you're making of it and what you bring to it and how you, and the environment that you create. You know, it's interesting. I just looked at this. I have a little wizard on my altar. The thing is, somewhere along the line, the wizard lost his hand. Hand broke off right there. And that made him all the more endearing for me, to be a reminder that that magic the magic we create doesn't have to be transmitted to everybody all the time. The magic we're creating, well, it starts by inside, and then we become that presence in the world. And a lot of what I've been talking about for a while now, and a lot of my writing, and a lot of what I believe the science of mind leads us to, is an experience that is a lot more new thought than just science of mind. I came in through the science of mind door, and the science of mind leads us to a greater opportunity to experience the divinity of life through new thought principles and practices and organizations and communities and things of that nature. So I talk a lot about creating an environment, and yet I was still spending more time than I wanted, than I think was healthy. There it is. I spent more time listening to the news, following some certain stories than I think was healthy. I think it was starting to weigh on, I know it was. It was starting to weigh on me. It was starting to make it, and so a few weeks back, I started turning away from checking in on those stories, keeping a tab on things. I stopped being so daily informed, and started to watch and engage with a lot more channeled material and content and voices. And wow, what a ride. What a ride. Linda's joining our conversation. I'm going to bring this in. I regularly remind myself that the news is about conditions. That reminds me that what I have control over is my thinking, reactions, attitudes, and actions. Exactly, Linda. And to me, that is pure new thought. If you throw an Ernest Holmes quote in there, then we'd probably call it science of mind. But you said it in your words, so I'm going to call it new thought. And we have control over our thoughts, over our thinking, over what we consume and what we put into our emotional body, energetic body, physical body, spiritual body. And what as and that also is what we put into our pain body. Because we hear a lot of people talk about being triggered and triggers, and I'm all in on being aware of the embedded traumas, the pains, the hurts that we have in our physical body temple. Go back and read Michael Singer's The Untethered Soul. It gives you the perfect, I think it's the best book out there explaining how those traumas, whether physical or emotional, those traumas can anchor in the human body, in our cells, and those become diseases and such. And unless we do the work necessary to release, let go, and transcend those past traumas, and for some that's a longer journey and a harder journey than others, and so peace and blessings to those making the hard journey, and to those that have made that journey, and to those that haven't made that journey. Well, you have that choice. You can hold on to the traumas and the conditions, or we can do the work to heal those traumas. And now don't hear this the wrong way, create a whole new set of conditions, because that's what we'll do. We'll create a whole new set of conditions that eventually will transcend those conditions. And right, remember, the divine is always taking on form and abandoning that form in order to take on new form. Form is just a different word for conditions here. So the divine, the universal, the one, the power, the presence, the intelligence, the everything is always taking on form of some sort. It is always taking on some sort of condition. That condition is controlled by us, by ourselves, by each of us individually. We'll talk about the collective another time. And in that, once we set those conditions in motion, then eventually at some point, sometimes right away, right? Sometimes we do something, we set up a series of conditions, and it falls apart almost immediately, and before we know it, it's gone. I said yes to that, but no. My favorite example of this is if you go to a restaurant and they come around with a dessert tray or a dessert cart, and they let you look at stuff, and you get to choose from it. Every so often, and it's rare, but every so often, there's no more of what you choose back in the kitchen, and they're not going to give you the one on the cart because they've been wheeling it around and people have been looking at it, and that doesn't happen. So every so often, the food cart has something on it, and you make that choice, and you say, "I'd like that, and I'm going to do that, and let's do that." But before you even know it, that's not available to you anymore. And so it doesn't happen. The universe, the law does work in mysterious ways. So we're always creating form, abandoning that form at some point in order to take on new form. That is the trust that I have in what I'm experiencing and what I'm seeing in the human world of politics right now, or in the human world even of business right now. And they're all so intertwined. And living here in Colorado, I just read a story. There's some move to use some existing facilities here in Colorado as ICE immigration detention centers. And we don't know what's going to happen just yet. Part of this centers around a facility in Wallensburg, Colorado, out on the plains in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of an open space. There is a prison, a private prison, that's now been empty for 10 years. Not abandoned, but empty. And the private prison company that owns it has been debating whether or not they can reopen the facility in order to service ICE and ICE detentions, as the ICE field office here in Colorado, in Denver specifically, is becoming busier and busier. And I'm not going to argue that cleaning up some of the illegal immigration of violent offenders isn't warranted. There are a lot of missteps happening out there. There are a lot of and we seem to be just writing with a very broad brush as to what is legal and what is worth sending someone away where they can't be found. I'm going to stray from my point here. We'll come back. And so in this debate, the story that I was reading, the mayor of Walsenburg, rightfully so, doesn't care who's in that prison as long as that prison's operating, because when that prison is operating, that is good for his town. And his town has been dying over the last 10 years as there has not been that tax base, there has not been that income, there have not been those jobs in Walsenburg because this facility has been closed. So how do you argue with a town that wants to save itself economically through the only means it has? Because there's a part of me that wants to say, well, okay, but no, it don't matter that you're not going to be able to feed your kids, because we can't do this on a human rights level, because we can't do this in this way. And if we had less influence, I think if ICE had been doing their job respectfully over the last several months, or properly over the last several months, or with a little more restraint, control, transparency, all the kind of things that American law enforcement is supposed to be built on, then this might not be such a thing. It might not be a topic in the news. It might be a line item that we miss, a story that just happens. And if we were only looking at, and this is one of 6 sites or facilities that I think, 3 different facilities and 6 different sites, which means I think there's 3 that would be built if one of the 3 or all of the 3 aren't reactivated, aren't up to, I don't know. Back to my main point, it gets real tiring trying to follow all of this in all of it. And so we have to be willing to do, I think, some of the little things. This is one of them. This is called a red card. And I don't remember where I heard about this, and I don't remember how I found this. And I have to get in touch because I thought these are our constitutional right cards. And I'm going to put this up there. You'll be able to. You have constitutional rights. Do not open the door. I'm going to write. Do not open the door. And if an immigration is knocking on the door, do not open. Do not answer any questions from an immigration agent. If they try to talk to you, you have the right to remain silent. Do not sign anything without first speaking to a lawyer. You have the right to speak with a lawyer. If you are outside of your home, ask the agent if you are free to leave. And if they say yes, leave calmly. Give this card to the agent. If you are inside of your home, give this card to the agent. If you are inside your home, show the card through the window or slide it under the door, the back side. I do not wish to speak with you, answer your questions, or sign or hand you any documents based on my Fifth Amendment right under the United States Constitution. I do not give you permission to enter my home based on my Fourth Amendment rights under the United States Constitution unless you have a warrant to enter signed by a judge or magistrate with my name on it that you slide under the door. I do not give you permission to search any of my belongings based on my Fourth Amendment right. I choose to exercise my constitutional rights. These cards are available to citizens and non-citizens alike. And it's ilrc.org/red-cards. Here, why don't I put that in a banner for you now that we've talked about it. And I thought these were coming in both English and Spanish. You have to apply to get a box of these. The organization will send a box of them free, no charge. So to proper nonprofits and other organizations. So I got a few of those stacks of those. That's just got a good sized box of them here. That is one of the ways that I'm going, and I thought they were in English and Spanish. You had one on one side and one on the other, so it wouldn't matter, because there's a lot of English-speaking people out there that have never spoken Spanish, but easily are being swept up in detentions because detentions are being based on color and appearance rather than actual warrants or proof. And today, more than ever, we need every person in this country educated as to their constitutional rights, I believe. Enough of my rant. And we have to do this work. But we also have to make sure that we double down on our spiritual practices while we're doing the work. Because if we're not doubling down on the practices, we'll be more susceptible to the attack. We'll be more susceptible to disillusionment. We'll be more susceptible. And think of it. When you get tired, does your work productivity increase or decrease? If you are if you're tired, we all know our comprehension, our ability goes down when we're tired, when we're fatigued. And our spiritual practice is what's going to lift us up. Right on, Linda. Linda got a card, passed it along at a protest to a Hispanic friend who was concerned about his mother. And that's right. We have people who are legal permanent residents, but perhaps not fully versed on how to tell an ICE agent no. There are so many people in our culture that have been taught you can't say no to someone, that it's not right to say no to someone in law enforcement, even if we don't understand. And because saying no to law enforcement can be threatened, it can be dangerous. No question about it, it can be dangerous. So this is one of the things we're doing, New Thought Media Network, myself, my wife, getting those into the hands of some friends around the Denver area. And we want to be able to disperse these and get them out into the community to be able to say, hold on to this. Because if you're confused and it looks like law enforcement, hand them this. It's some protection. It's some activity. And double down, triple down, invest in your relationship with the divine. Now more than ever. And I keep hearing this, and I'm being told this, and now more than ever is the time for you to double down, triple down. My humanness just so dislikes the whole 10x it, right? Not everything in the world is something we need to turn up to 10 times higher. But in this case, it seems appropriate. 10x your spiritual practice. 10x your relationship with the divine. And let's be clear, right? That's what spiritual practice is all about. It's not just about, okay, I'm going to do my 10-minute meditation now and I'm feeling good. It's about deepening our relationship with the divine so that we can tap into, so that we can access the blueprint of who we came here to be, so that we can access our soul's purpose, so that we can access a greater understanding and a greater sense of clarity around what it is we are here, how we are here to serve. Because there's no question in my mind, we are each here to serve the evolution of human consciousness in some way. And as we serve that evolution of human consciousness, as we find ways to show up as a beneficial presence, as we choose to speak the truth in various avenues and in different ways, as we choose to demonstrate that we are a living embodiment of this philosophy. Ooh, that's a good one. Reverend Michael's with us. Stand guard at the doorway of your mind. Exactly. We must choose moment by moment by moment to be a living demonstration of the outpicturing the product of our relationship with the divine, the output of our relationship with the divine. It's a full-time effort, exactly. It is a full-time effort. Yes, sir. And that's why on occasion we need to get away and get to a retreat as well. And so come to the Anton retreat in October. There we go. There's my little plug for ANT today, that we would love to see you at the fall retreat. And I think you will see Reverend Michael Benjamin there. I don't know why it says Benjamin Michaels. That's me. I believe we'll be there along with his dearly beloved Allie and Reverend Alley is has a show here on the network, so you can check that out. A couple of shows here on the network, actually, Monday mornings, and then now on Wednesday afternoons, a meditation as well. Yes. Time and frequency of my spiritual practice is less important than integrating my spiritual knowing into my being and living. Yes. And I believe we are at a point in this timeline of human existence where it is so much more important to invest the time and the frequency to pray more and pray more often, meditate more and meditate more often, vision more and vision more often, and deepen into your embodiment, your enlightenment of the divine. Yes, Linda, you will. And we will see you there, and I'm looking forward to that too. Time for a big old Linda hug. That's what's necessary, I think. So now more than ever, we have to give more of who we are, because who we are beings of light, and we are enlightened beings. I just did a Substack on this recently. Check it out if you like. We are that, and it is so very important for us to do the work we came here to do right now at a greater level, with the volume turned up, with the amps turned on, to really do the work we have been set that we came here to do. Excuse me, not that we were sent here to do, but that we came here to do. We ourselves, our consciousness, our soul's consciousness, designed this life so that we would awaken at this time in order to serve in whatever way it is that we're here to serve, but that we would awaken when we did, as we have, and that more and more, and I keep hearing this said by more and more places, that there are more awakened people on the planet right now than ever before. And that's a good thing, because it's really, really necessary. I think more, that's what I'm saying here. It's really, really necessary that we support more and more people in their awakening. Maybe that's awakening to the very basics of this truth, of this philosophy, of these teachings. Maybe it's helping people to awaken to a greater and deeper level, because this is kind of like high school. You think you've graduated, but there's more to go. And after high school, you're right. It's not that we're here to get a lesson. We didn't come here to be taught something. We didn't come here to learn a lesson. We didn't come here as punishment for not doing well in a previous lifetime or any of that crap. We're here to shine a light that will act as a beacon for countless souls to awaken. And that is a necessary step. Well, one of the places I love to hang out, Mile High, they talk about it all every day, every week, every time they read their vision and mission statements: personal empowerment and global enlightenment. For those that don't have the personal empowerment yet, get that part. For those that do, let's go enlighten the globe. Let's go enlighten the globe, so that this whole planet is shining with a glowing orb of consciousness surrounding it, where we're lifting up each other, ourselves, the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, where we're not abusing Mother Earth, but we're in a divine relationship. And not because we are, right? We already are, but where we recognize that and we honor that, and we treat our relationship with the divine as deeply as we treat our relationships with our spouse or our partner or our kids or our siblings or any of that. You with me? I think as a human construct, as beings of light, we are right now witnessing one of the greatest shifts in human consciousness ever to happen. And never at this level, never at this, with this number, never with this much power, and because it has never been more necessary than it is right now. The human species is at a great crossroads between love and fear. I think you know which path I'm choosing to walk. And I'm inviting you to walk with. Not to follow me, although that is kind of fun. No, I'm inviting you to walk with. For all of us to walk with each other, to get rid of I was in a visioning session this week, and the question of release came up, and the way the phrase came through, and I might not get it exactly, but the way the phrase came through it was let go of the hierarchy of honorifics. Let go of the hierarchy of honorifics. To me, what that says is we are all equally one in this. We all have equal ability. We all have an equal calling. We all have an equal set of gifts and skills and talents. There may be a difference, and you have gifts and skills and talents in places I don't, and I have them in places that others don't, and we know that to be true. But that doesn't mean that your set of gifts and skills and talents aren't equal to mine and equal to any luminary you can see on the planet right now and across time and history. So more than ever, everyone is equally being called to step up and be an enlightened being on the planet. Yeah. Linda's caught it. Being a conduit of the light. I open and allow it to flow. This feels like a good affirmation. It feels so right when I do that effectively. Exactly. And we know the difference. We know the difference between when we're doing what is right and when we're selling out, even if it's to keep a town alive. And perhaps it's time for that town to go. Perhaps it's time for there no longer to be a facility of incarceration in Walsenburg, Colorado, and perhaps there doesn't need to be a town there either. Especially if the reason the town grew up to begin with was to service that prison. Spirit is forever taking on form and abandoning that form in order to take on new form. We are the vibration, the energetic, the power, the light that keeps that cycle moving. So what new form are you choosing? You know what it is. You already know what it is. And it doesn't have to be a big grand. You may already be doing it. Some of you may be saying, I don't need to hear this. I'm already there. I'm good. I like the form I'm in. That's fine. But do not lose sight that we are creative beings of light. Ooh, I like how that came out. Do not lose sight that we are creative beings of light. And we are here to do great work. And I don't believe you'd be hearing this if that wasn't true for you. So let your consciousness be your guide. Do your work. Live in a close relationship with the divine. Proclaim that. Let people see that. Let people hear about it. And if there's something bigger calling, go do that. I'm Dr. Robert. I'm going to get out of here for now. It's a Friday morning. Thanks for being a part of what we're doing here on the New Thought Media Network. Thanks for being a part of this growing virtual community that we have here. If you'd like to pick up some red cards or see if your organization is can get some, go there, that website. I invite you to stay tuned with us throughout the day. It's a beautiful Friday, and it's going to be a great day here on the New Thought Media Network. All of our normal programming is coming up next. Sekou Wright with Get Rich 101 is already on. 8:15 is the morning prayer. 8:30 is the morning sip with Rev Melissa. 9:30, Viviendo de Oración, Living in Prayer, so our Spanish language programming. 11 o'clock, Rev Skip, Rev Linda, and Rev Cynthia with the High Vibe Hour. I gotta go check. I might have said the wrong name. The High Vibe Hour at 11 o'clock. 1 o'clock, it is the Joy Show with Reverend Barbara Jean, and the Good News at 5 p.m. Mountain Time. Plus, of course, the Fireside Chat at 6 with Reverend Michael. So join us throughout the evening here on New Thought Media Network for more of our great programming. We want you to know, think you're amazing. I love you. So grateful you're a part of what we're doing. And we'll be back. So keep coming back. Tell your friends. Yeah, that's what we've got. All right, let's get out of here. Until next time, I wish you peace and richest blessings. Bye now.
And thanks for listening to this week's episode of Ministers Talking. We'll be back again next week with more commentary on current affairs, world events, and any other our ministers want to talk about. And if you found value here, please share our with your friends. Until next time, peace and blessings.